at least 3 people were found dead during welfare checks after winter weather snowed many people in for more than a week in the San Bernardino mountains. This is a story that we have continued to cover for you here on Live Now from Fox, and that's where we want to take you out to next, is the San Bernardino area where the sheriff's office is confirming that news. At least 3 people found dead during welfare checks. And now we want to go out to Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez, who's joining us live here on Live Now from Fox. Christina, what is the latest? How are things going there today?
Well, things are better in that they have been able to open up quite a few of the roads, and the sheriff's department is doing checks. They're literally going house by house. Now, I should explain that the 3 people that they found dead, they're not saying that they're dead directly because of the storm. One of them is a heart attack. A person was in hospice. The other one had to do with some kind of accident. They are saying that, of course, as they go into more houses, things may change. But at this point, they don't want to give out the impression that people died because they died of the cold and the weather or something like that. As a matter of fact, let's show you, because we were able to follow some of the fire crews as they were delivering food to people who are still stranded. Take a look at what we found. Wow. Fire personnel struggling as they make their way up a steep hill. We follow them for a while as they search and eventually do find the home of a retired school teacher where they deliver a bag of food.
Now that we know where you're at.
What is it like to see these guys?
You know, in the climate that we live in, if you'll pardon the pun, all over the place and stuff like that, it's just, it's real emotional to see people pull together and help each other, you know. And I have to give it to the county. No way, you know, would they have, no, it's Snowmageddon for sure. No, I recognize you. No, it's for sure. It's just a time of need is when we find out what people are really made about.
You just stretch up the snow and you see this lady up here. You're getting all emotional.
We found her. We were looking. We found her. I mean, it is emotional, but that's what we come out here for.
They are from San Diego Fire, but part of the Unified Fire Command helping residents in San Bernardino mountain communities still digging out.
Here, and then we're going to go to the east.
Okay.
And there's some people that are still not able to get out. And right now what we're doing is just making sure everybody can get one car out.
They made it safe for us now. I mean, we couldn't go nowhere. We haven't even been off the property in a week and a half when it started. We couldn't go nowhere. We just barely ran out of food today.
Yeah.
So it was a godsend.
Little by little, roads are getting cleared, but you see this Cal Edison truck struggling as vehicles have to back up on roads still too narrow to negotiate much traffic. That's why access remains limited, so they can get to people like the retired school teacher.
Do you see the halo and the wings on these guys?
And if it wasn't for good people like that, I mean, we probably wouldn't get emotional, but it's a great feeling, and that's really what we signed up for. And so thank goodness that we were able to find you and bring you some much needed food.
And humanity, you know, the humanity, the food of the soul, you know, that's what it's about.
With that said, what's happening is that we're expecting another storm coming in tomorrow night, and this one is going to be warmer. So they're not expecting snow out here, they're expecting rain, and already, I don't know if you can make it out, but you can already see the snow melt, and you can see the water coming down. The issue is that when you don't have snow, when you have rain with this much snow, you start getting the melt, and they're warning people about possible avalanche danger up in this area. So the danger's far from over. We got some storms coming in. They are expecting to keep this area off limits only to residents, and maybe even less depending on what happens in the next 48 hours. At this point, again, confirming 3 people dead found during checks, none of them, though, directly related to the weather issues at this point. I'm Christina Gonzalez, live in Crestline. Back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, thanks so much, Christina. Wishing the best for all the residents there, especially as you are anticipating more weather on the way throughout the region. Thanks so much. And as we continue moving along here, we want to stick with covering all of this that's happening in San Bernardino. Earlier today, our very own Andrew Kraft spoke with Fox Weather's Max Gordon further about the situation there. We want to bring you that conversation now. Let's listen in here.
We've been speaking to Fox Weather's Max Gordon for the last 3 days, really, there in Southern California as snow removal continues. I believe some of the rescues are somewhat over there, but this was record snowfall. Max, thanks for being with us. Is there any sign that this is returning to normalcy at all?
Yeah, well, there are signs of normalcy returning to the small mountain community of Crestline and communities throughout the San Bernardino Mountains. We had temperatures today in the 40s, beautiful blue skies, but this has been a really tough time for folks here. According to reporting from the Los Angeles Times, 3 people were found dead in their homes during welfare checks. This after people were snowed in for more than a week in some cases. This is a storm that a lot of people here won't soon forget. Yishen Tian has been digging out.
We're just shoveling it here.
Trying to clear some space in front of his restaurant, Mandarin Garden.
Yeah, the past week we haven't been getting too many customers because of the snow.
The snow just kept on coming here in the small mountain town of Crestline, California.
That's when you get worried, like, uh-oh, because it was like building up, building up.
In some places here in the San Bernardino Mountains, totals topped 12 feet after twin storms hit the range.
The mountain community is used to snow, but not like this.
Roads became impassable. Residents stranded in their homes.
People were cold and low on supplies to where basically I was hiking laundry baskets of firewood down unplowed roads to people so they could stay warm in their house.
Neighbors helping neighbors.
It has truly been a huge effort of the local residents here.
And hundreds of first responders and multiple aid groups coming in to deliver supplies.
We want to be able to support with food in any way that we can.
And as roads open back up, and the snow slowly melts.
But yeah, we're open if you guys want to.
The only thing for folks like Yishen to do is to keep on digging.
Just keep at it.
Now, according to San Bernardino County, around 95% of roads here in the mountains are currently plowed. But when you get into the far-reaching areas, well, things are pretty tough. In those areas, when you're talking about small finger roads, roads aren't plowed, and some cabins, some homes remain inaccessible. Andrew?
Max, you and I were talking about the response itself, and you have been speaking to some residents, several of them, not too happy with the, rapidity of the response. Has some of those concerns alleviated themselves, or does that criticism still remain among residents there?
Yeah, I think there is a feeling among some residents that the county just was not prepared for this storm. This was a monster storm, really 2 storms that dumped incredible amounts of snow for this region. This is an area that does get snow, but not quite as much as we saw, and in such a short period of time. This is pretty rare for folks here. Up to 12.5 feet of snow when we're looking at the far eastern ranges here in the San Bernardino Mountains. So yes, people have been upset in some cases, feeling like they've been left behind, abandoned, but the county has really tried to catch up. They've been trying to plow the roads, trying to do some work. And there's been a lot of hard work between, firefighters, law enforcement, just, county road crews. So there has been a ton of work that's been done, but, when it comes to natural disasters like this, you are always going to have some people who say, this county or this government wasn't prepared.
Yeah, and just lastly, Max, we're hearing possibly some more precipitation headed your way there in San Bernardino County, possibly by the end of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. So tomorrow and also Friday, we are expecting some rain to come to the higher elevations. Snow levels are going to rise because we're going to be looking at more of a tropical system, warmer rain moving in. That means that we could see some snow melt and a lot of snow melt in some cases because we've just seen so much snow build up. Really, the areas of concern are going to be in Northern California and also in the Central Sierra. That's where we're going to be seeing a lot of rain, and that's where we've seen even higher snow totals. So we could be seeing flooding in that part of the state.
All right, Max Gordon there live for us in Crestline. Max, thanks so much. Talk again.
Okay, so as we continue to talk about the coverage of what's happening there in San Bernardino County. Also, want to talk about the supplies. As we know, many residents had been struggling to get supplies as they had been snowed in for so long. Well, staff at a local medical center in San Bernardino are preparing supplies for their snowed-in neighbors. This as many people are reportedly still trapped in that area, and to help out, residents are loading up a bus, as you could see in that video there, with much needed supplies that are in need during this time. Some of those items include toilet paper, diapers, food, water, shovels, and more.
It's not just me. I think the whole community, neighbors are helping neighbors up there. Seeing all this behind me is a godsend. You know, I know other supplies are coming, but every little bit counts, especially when we don't have a local grocery store. So it's making a huge difference.
One volunteer estimates that these residents will continue to need help for a few weeks as that snow slowly melts. And want to give you a live look here from the Bay Area as we continue our coverage of all of the weather in California. We do want to continue talking about the fact that what we heard Max talk about, what we heard Andrew Kraft talk about, that the rain isn't done with California just yet. Another atmospheric river taking aim at the Golden State, with forecasters warning that the incoming storm could lead to flooding, more snow in the mountain communities as they are still struggling from the last storm. For more on this, we want to be joined now by former FEMA official Mark Naveau. Mark, thanks so much for being here with us on Live Now from Fox. Appreciate it. Your company here today. What do people need to know? Where and when will this weather be most concerning?
Well, they're talking about Friday into Saturday, and a tremendous amount of Pineapple Express coming from the Hawaiian Islands through, and they're talking about it being similar to the January-December storms. And so there's some danger that's coupled with this because of the type of storm that we can talk about if you'd like to, Lexi.
Yeah, absolutely. Please feel free to get into as much detail.
Well, what they're talking about is that the snowpack in California now is at 177% of normal. It's at about 120% of normal in terms of water content. But the snow that's sitting in Northern California, up in the Sierras and the Lake Tahoe area, which is really the water bank for the state of California, as that snow melts, it supplies, drinking water for populations up and down the state of California. But what we are hearing from meteorologists is that that snow up there is considered to be porous, meaning that as this water and snow below 5,000, the rain starts to trickle down into that snow. The snow is going to absorb that water. There is going to be some melting at lower elevations, but at mid elevations, that snow is going to absorb the rain. The trouble with that is there are already tremendous amount of homes, gyms, mobile home parks that have had roof collapses because of the weight of the snow. So what's concerning now is the amount of weight and water content in the upcoming storm.
Yeah, and so Mark, how are emergency groups preparing for this? How's California preparing for more storms, more weather like this?
What they've done is they've put on standby what's called pre-position, and they've got water tenders, they've got hand crews that clear roads, fall trees so they can keep roads open, get trees off homes and critical infrastructure. They have 26 additional fire engines and staff that come with those fire engines to be able to clear that area. They're working with the National Guard to be able to fly in supplies if necessary. So really the focus is to have people in specific pre-positioned locations to get to critical infrastructure if this storm starts to hamper that, i.e. like electricity. We still have 15,000 people in California without power, and a majority of those are in Northern California where this storm is coming to.
And how much harder would you say it is for groups to prepare when there's been back-to-back storms like this?
Well, it makes it difficult, not so much for the responders, because now they know what's coming. This is what's known as a noticed event. They know this weather's coming. They can plan for it. They can pre-position. They can bring in incident management teams to be able to coordinate amongst different levels of government. But the challenge becomes all those people, i.e. in San Bernardino County, who are still trapped in that area up in Lake Arrowhead and Bear Lake and things of that nature, that have not been able to resupply both some of their medicines and food. And so they're trying to get that done before the storm comes. But if they don't get it done, that's the challenge. It's a double hit for some of them.
And what is your advice to residents who have been dealing with this, who are expecting more of this, both before this next round and during?
Certainly make sure you have communications with people. Make sure your cell phone's charged up, that you've got a hand crank radio if need be, if the power does go out, that you have adequate water, you have adequate food. Doesn't have to be a lot. Remember, the storm's going to be a couple of days. It may be difficult to get into there. It's not going to be as severe as what we have seen over the last week. So really, we're talking about a 72-hour period, much like you would prepare for wildfires or earthquakes or floods. Same type of stuff, the essentials.
And speaking of essentials, especially those folks in the San Bernardino mountain communities, we've reported on and talked with reporters who are on the grounds there just about how they've struggled to get some of those necessities like groceries and food. What's your advice to them ahead of time? Should they just be stocking up right now?
If they can, certainly. What you're seeing is that the firefighters, along with the National Guard, police officers, road crews, are, they're doing a little bit untraditional assignments, and that is getting folks food and essential items. And so you saw in the piece by Max that the rain's coming, but we also see that they've got store and supplies opened up in the local community. So if they can, get to those locations and get enough to get you through that 72-hour period.
And Mark, anything else that we're missing, anything else that stands out to you about this next round of rain and concerns about flooding that you would like to also address we may not have talked about already?
Well, I think what's interesting here is that California, we were in a drought. They were talking about it's going to be a multi-decade recovery to be able to get enough water to service the state of California. In 3 months, we've toppled, 117% in some cases in water content. But what's interesting about this is some of the reservoirs, they're letting water out of those reservoirs. As of 3 months ago, we were in a drought, but they're letting water out because there's fear that there's so much water coming after this storm and so much snow that that's going to put pressure on the rivers and the levees in Central California. And the levees are designed to be able to handle high flows, but not at the consistent rate, multiple days or weeks. So there's concerns about what's going to happen with the levees right after this snowstorm. One thing after another, it seems like.
Yeah, certainly thinking about all the people in California who have been dealing with these storms back to back to back. Mark, we really appreciate you being with us here on Live Now from Fox. Always great to talk with you and get some great perspective from you as well.
Thank you, Lexi. Have a good evening.
Yep, you as well. Thanks so much.